Hi, all of you. Anybody who wants these books, National Geographic books, so you can have them. I'm going to give them away. But anyway, well, now that you're stuck in 2006, this is what's available for you to buy. This is December 2006. Well, this TV right here, it's almost like the one that I bought, and I have it up there too. If any of you want that TV, you can have it. I mean, just come and get it. Remember the Wii? That is like when it came. I barely came out about this time. The Wii. And then look at the TVs, 15-inch TV. I think they started getting cheaper at that point, you know. Let me show the cameras. Well, the cameras are like 6 megahertz. No, wait a minute. What is it? Megabytes. Megapixel. The cameras. I think they were typically like, they offered 512 megabyte memory cards. And then over here, more cameras. And I think they were typically like 6 megapixel and stuff. And so these memory cards, they started doing 2 gigabytes now. But the 2 gigabyte ones are like $75, man. The 2 gig, yeah, they started doing 2 gigabytes. And so, I mean, $75 for a 2 gigabyte card. And then, and like, 1 gigabyte was like about, and then they used to have different formats. Until the SD cards took over everything, you know, like, because they used to do memory stick, and then remember the picture cards, and then compact flash card. Remember they used to do those, but those went out of style, or and now these are the cameras, and then the fancy ones. 8 megapixels. These are from 2006. More cameras. I don't even know what that is right here. Never seen one of those. What?
It's going to be another hot day today.
Okay, so more of these fancy cameras. A 10 megapixel. Look at the price of a 10 megapixel camera there. 1272 7.2. And then they had video cameras, of course. And then the DVD camcorders. I had one of these. I could tell you that it sucked. Video from that, it sucked. Oh, look at, they have a Hello Kitty camera. That probably would actually have value right now on the marketplace. So anyways, the heck is this? Huh. I don't know what this is actually. More camera. Well, these are the mini DVs. At that point, the mini DVs were actually pretty cheap now. But they still had DVD. Oh, here's an Xbox set. Well, it was like a year old at that point. The Xbox was a year old at that point. And then this Wii had just came out. And then I think this is the PlayStation 2, which came out like back in that was like PlayStation 2, but the PlayStation 3 just barely came out. Movies. Or games. I think they're games, not movies. Yeah, these are games. Now these are the DVDs. The DVD releases. This was the movies back then, I guess I could say. More movies. So, more CDs, I guess CDs. Remember the Zune? The Microsoft Zune? And that was like the competitor of the Apple. Remember that? The Apple iPod? And then this one, well, then, and of course we had other companies making MP3 players, and they were trying to compete with Apple. But Apple was like #1, I mean, in those days. iPod, this was like a very popular item back then, iPod. I think like even one of these was really popular back then. Music players. And then the iTunes and stuff. And then they had other MP3 players that were like a fraction of the cost of the iPod, you know. I never used to do iPod because I felt like they were too expensive for me. Well, boy, what's this? XM radio, MP3. This was kind of like a trend, you know, XM radio, Sirius XM radio. But do we do that today? Do we have that in today's times? I mean, I never used it for myself, really. I mean, I don't think it's anything fun for me, in my opinion. And then remember the GPS systems when they were like in and stuff? Remember that got really popular back then? But now we have them on our phones. Okay, I guess more of these MP3 players, I guess. Video. Phones. I guess these are the phones back then. Remember the razors? I actually had a Motorola Silver, they called it. And then these are the TVs that are tube TVs. These are tube TVs. Or actually, some of these were not tube. I think it was only one or two of these that was a tube. I think these two were tube TVs or CRT. And these were flat panels when they started taking over. And this one right here, I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one that is my very first TV. That was my very first TV, and I have it up here. So, shit. Anyway, yeah, this is my very first TV right here. Anybody who wants it, it's right there. I don't know. The camera turned off while I'm gonna go back to a few pages because I think the camera turned off on me. And then the GPS systems. Because I accidentally paused my camera right now, so I just want to go back to a few pages to be sure that I didn't miss anything. You remember this? I'm getting a whole page, the iPods. Well, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and continue. Anyway, the TVs, and then and then these were the non flat panel TV. But these flat panel, the bigger they were, the more expensive they got. I mean, they got expensive pretty quick. The bigger they were, I mean. More TVs. Sony. Like, Sony was considered like a good brand in those days. Well, I guess, I mean. Well, some of these TVs that they had, they weren't flat panel TVs. Because not everybody had money to buy them. No interest until 2008. Very good. Up to $700 off of plasma TVs. Remember the plasma TVs? Yeah. Look at this. Plasma TV. Plasma. I just gave one away the other day. I mean. Well, like an old one that I had. Now look at this. A Blu-ray player. See, this is the first Blu-ray player that ever came out. $1,000, man. $1,000 freaking dollars for a Blu-ray player back then. Yeah, that's when it first came out, remember? Yeah, and then, you know, the PlayStation PlayStation 3 had a Blu-ray player in it, and then everybody's all after that. And I actually heard that Sony lost money on the making of the PlayStation 3s because of the Blu-ray player that they added. There's stereo equipment, the modern stuff, and this direct TV and shit, receivers on Keo. These were like the days when they stopped doing. Well, it was probably like 10 years ago that they stopped doing cassette players and stuff and record players and stuff. Theater systems. Oh yeah. Boston. It was like DVD system. VCR, or like they were. I don't know if they did. They had a DVD recorder. They got cheaper because DVD recorders first came out in the early 2000s, and they were really expensive at one point. I mean, okay, what's this? Pocket PC. So, another computer, okay. $4.99 for this HP. And then $4.99 for this E-machines. I mean, not bad. I mean, back in the day, I thought it was not a bad price. I mean, for a modern computer. I mean, yeah, there's more of them. I think that this looks like that's a flat screen TV. That's not a. Yeah, they weren't. They were a CRT. But you know, today these are valuable now. The CRTs are valuable today. People want to buy. People like CRT monitors right now. You know that. And people are actually looking for them today, in today's times. CRT monitors. And then, so anyway, laptops. 80 gigabyte hard. 2006, I mean, I think I have this computer, I don't know, but I know that I have one of these, like one of these old ones from 2006. It was Arnold's or something. And I have it on me right now. So, yeah. And then the features and Toshiba. The specifications of these computers. And then printers. And then this one. Now the hard drives. 60 gigabyte portable drive. And then 80 gigabyte portable drive. And then this one was 250. I remember those. I remember the 250 gigabyte hard drives. I remember those. But in my days, I mean, that was too small for me because of my video collection. But in those days, 250 gigabytes was a big amount of space back then, you know. Well, this was pretty typical, 120. And then 320 was a big one. And I don't know when they started doing, like, the super big ones, you know, like. Well, it looks like, looks to me that 400 gigabytes, the biggest one I see here so far. And then the memories for the computer. And then these USB drives, 512 megabyte. But they started doing away from the megabyte stuff now. They started doing all gigabyte memory cards at that point. From this point on, they started doing all gigabytes. You know, all the megabyte, the memory cards started phasing out. I mean, completely, because nobody wants them anymore because they're too small. I mean, in today's standards, you don't see a megabyte memory card in today's time because what are you gonna do with any amount of megabyte? Yeah, what are you gonna do with that? I mean, could barely carry one picture with one of those. And then these Vonage. That's an internet service, right? Remember Vonage? And then the phones. What's this? Yeah, they had these crazy things that I never heard of. Polaroid, and then a camcorder. Well, they started having good prices on some camcorders back in the day. Well, this was an expensive camera. Sony was always expensive, you know, to buy. And then these are these little aftermarket things. And then more of these memory cards. It was a memory card plus USB drive all in one. Oh, how did that work? DVD player. I'm telling you. Well, here you go. That was Circuit City 2006. Christmas 2006. Alright, I hope you liked this video.